Hello everyone, welcome back to reality. As I mentioned in a previous video, this has been kind of a low energy week for me. We're trying to figure out some different things that are going on with me health-wise. So I'm glad that I can still film because I like you guys and I want to be a resource to you even during this tough time in my own life. And that's what this channel is about, is still doing things with where we're at. And right now I am low energy and not feeling the best, but I still want to be filming. So here I am, and I'm glad that you joined me today. Today I want to talk about 6 different do's and don'ts when it comes to grief, when it comes to friends who are grieving. Yesterday, September 9th, was the 3rd anniversary of my mom's passing, and tomorrow is September 11th. And I don't know how many of you are still dealing with the repercussions of that, but you never know who is dealing with what. So I just thought this video was appropriately timed, with yesterday being what it was for me and then tomorrow being what it is for our country. So I want to talk about 6 different things that you shouldn't do, and then alternatively things that you should do instead of those things that you shouldn't do. So let's get started. I am definitely not the only person who has written books or articles on this sort of thing. There's an article that I'll be putting the link to down below, and then also the link to a book that I think would be helpful. I actually haven't read it, but it looked really good. So I'll put those links down below for you if you have further interest in resources to help those who are close to you grieving. I definitely don't claim to be an expert. I haven't studied it. I only have my personal experience and what I've learned from others who've experienced this type of thing. So don't take my word as a set in stone. Definitely research what I say, but this is also from personal experience. So I want to make the disclaimer that everybody's situation is different. If you have a friend who is grieving, maybe even just ask them, like, is this accurate for you or is this not? So you can best help them. My hope for this video is that it is a resource. Like all my other videos, I just want to be of service. And this is an area where, sadly, a lot of other people my age and around my age are dealing with grief of a loved one, either a friend or a family member, and so I just really hope that this is a resource to you. It is not to shame or bring up things that you feel like you have done wrong, but really just to help you do things differently and better in the future. The first one that I want to talk about is kind of an overarching theme for the rest of these, but also just in general. Don't expect them to get over it. This isn't a lost possession or a breakup. This is a permanent change happening in somebody's life that they did not ask for. So don't expect them to just get over it or to be okay after they've had a cry. One thing that you can do is ask about it and listen well. Most of the time people just need an environment that is safe, where they can just talk about it, where they can just talk about how they're doing, where they can talk about how it's affecting them, where they can talk about why it's hard, why they can talk about how they feel like no one understands and no one gets it. So something you can do to help them is to ask about it and actually listen. In light of that one, our second don't is don't just ask, how are you? That question was like poison to my ears and still is sometimes. Often because in America we use that mostly as a greeting, not necessarily asking actually how are you doing. And so it often causes more damage and more hurt than it does actually help. What you can do is ask specific open-ended questions that will help them talk about it if you're actually asking how they're doing. Those questions can be, what has your experience been like? Or what do you miss the most? Or what is the hardest thing right now? The best thing you can do in light of these questions is to not be scared about bringing it up. A lot of times I had people scared to ask about it because they were nervous they were gonna bring it up when I wasn't expecting it or when I wasn't thinking about it. I want to respect and value the fact that they were thinking about me and they were being sensitive, but I am never not thinking about the fact that I've lost my mom. Never is someone going to bring it up and dampen my day because I forgot about it. So don't be scared to bring it up and ask somebody. You taking the risk and asking about it is going to show them that you care more about how they are doing than any sort of social awkwardness that it will cause. Another helpful thing in asking about it is to ask about during not significant times. So yesterday I heard from a lot of friends and family members, because it was the anniversary of my mom's passing, but I will be grieving different parts of losing her at different times. I grieve differently when I got married than I did right when it first happened. And I'll grieve differently when I have my first kid because of the loss of their grandmother than I did when I got married. It's all going to come back at different times and in different ways, so don't be afraid to ask about it when you feel like it's maybe not apparent or not obvious, because your friend who is grieving or your family member who is grieving is always thinking about it. I kind of combined my second and third one, so those were don't just ask how are you and don't avoid bringing it up because you're scared, but ask specific questions. And I gave you some specific questions that you could ask, but you should definitely brainstorm some more that you could ask. Our fourth one is don't be silent. Saying the wrong thing is better than saying nothing, in my personal opinion. And it might be different with different circumstances, but I had a lot of people not intentionally drop out of my life, but stop talking to me mostly because they just weren't sure what to say and they were scared. Cancer is scary, death is scary, but this is real life. And so if you want to be in somebody's hard times with them, all you literally need to do is just be there with them. Ask them those questions, or just be okay with being silent together. Sometimes that is the most helpful thing, is if somebody's just with me when I'm having a breakdown or when I'm just working on a project that I think needs to be done, but I'm not doing it by myself. What you can do is think about what you're saying. Sometimes you don't know what to say, and so even just saying, wow, this stinks, or this is hard, or I'm really sad about what you're going through. Sometimes those things are more meaningful than, don't worry, things will get better, or this won't be so hard in the future, because all of those things are things that are uncertain. And when someone is in a period of grief, they need something rock solid to cling to, even if it's just being with them where they're at. And if by saying, this is hard and I'm really sad about what you're going through, is something that they can rely on, then say that. And that's truthful, you're not lying. Our fifth one is don't rely on social media to express yourself or to be a helpful response. Whether they are expressing something themselves on social media, either on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, don't expect that to be the way they want to communicate. They can choose to respond to something if they'd like to, but chances are they've turned to social media because they don't know how to express it to other people without freaking them out or without inconveniencing somebody. What you can do is respond directly. If it's someone that you feel you have enough of a relationship with to even direct message them on Facebook, that means more than responding to a group thread or on their wall. And then one step closer is texting them. The next step after that would be calling them. And then the final step, which is always the most meaningful, is just go be with them. Just stop by their house or their apartment or their dorm room and just be with them. That's all they need, is to know that somebody cares. And often when they're using social media, it's because they don't know even who's out there who's gonna care, and they just feel lonely. So communicating with them directly can be so meaningful. Obviously, if you feel that there is a post on Facebook or on Twitter or something that is an actual serious cry for help and you are concerned for them, do not respond on social media and hope that they get better. If you are nervous that they are going to end their life or that they are doing something that involves self-harm, you gotta rally the troops and get together, get involved in their life. That is something that is worth stopping. Our last one is to not assume if there's nothing tangible you can be doing that there are no ways you can help them at all. Oftentimes people ask, how can I help you? And often there's no tangible way you can help me, like laundry or bringing me meals. But there are often other ways that you can show up for your friend that are just helpful, that are just meaningful, and even just sweet, that you can just care for them. So do observe other ways that you can help them that maybe aren't necessary, but would be a blessing to them. So I didn't experience this, but sometimes people get into a pretty deep pit of despair and they either stop cleaning their home or making themselves food, or even showering, or even getting out of bed is really tough. And so if you can find a way to step in and be that kind of a resource for somebody without shaming or embarrassing them, that can be a way that you will help them in the long run. So if you want to clean their house, or even if you want to grab them coffee, if they need to go shopping but don't want to do it alone, just go with them. Or if I'm not a huge advocate for retail therapy, but if that's going to help them, then why not? Just go to the mall, or even just looking at pretty things sometimes helps me. I don't even need to buy them. Something you can do is unexpected gifts, so not even around anniversaries or birthdays, just getting them a gift that says, I know this is still hard for you and I'm thinking about you. If you need an idea, this isn't meant to be a plug, but the video for my happy box is a great idea. It can be filled with a lot of little things that are budget friendly that can still let somebody know that you're thinking about them. Another way that you can help them that really is the most meaningful is doing stuff that they enjoy, but without the motive of distracting them or making them feel happy. That is so frustrating when you're in the midst of grief and in the midst of a sad time and someone is just trying to cheer you up. That's not real life. They need to be able to feel the grief that they are feeling in the midst of doing normal life. So like I said, if they need to go food shopping and they're not going to do it on their own because they're so overcome with grief, do it with them. Or better yet, do it and bring the groceries to their house. That's a way that you can take care of that person without trying to pull them out of this pit. That's just real. That's just real about where they're at. So in light of these 6 different do's and don'ts, I just want to have the overarching theme of being with them where they're at. And that's why I thought this video was appropriate with where I'm at health-wise, emotionally, spiritually. I still wanted to make this video as a resource. So I wanted to invite you into where I'm at in my normal life right now. So the sub-points of that are, don't be afraid to be around sad people. You can even ask your friend, do you want to be together just in silence, or do you want me to bring over some homework to work on or a project to work on, but just so you're not alone? You can ask your friend those questions and hopefully they'll be honest with you. The point is not to distract them from being sad. The point is not to distract them from grieving, because dealing with grief as it comes up is healthy. Even though it's hard to be around and it's hard to watch, it is very necessary for where they're at. It's necessary to cry, it's necessary to reminisce and share stories. Those are all part of the grieving process. Sometimes the flip side of that is celebrating the life that they lost. So even doing fun things for them is therapeutic as a part of the grieving process. I think one of the most important things is not putting pressure on someone who is grieving to get over it, to be past it. There is no timeline. Everybody is different. The impact of who they lost is different. So not putting shame on them or making them feel that they are wrong in what they are feeling. If you feel that somebody is going to be inflicting self-pain, then the best thing you can do is be with them and be real about it with them without putting shame or embarrassment on them. I hope this video was helpful to you. I know it's a little bit different than what I normally do. I also know that I'm a little bit different than I normally am, but that's where I'm at, and I'm not sorry about it. The doctors that I'm talking with and my counselors are all really helping me out, and my husband's being a rock star. And so if you have any questions about different health things that can come as a result of grieving or just grieving itself, or if you have thoughts or want me to do different videos like this, please leave a comment down below. I love hearing from you. I hope this video was useful to you or to a friend. If you have a friend who is grieving, please share it with them. This video is not about likes and subscribes and shares. It is really to just be a resource to those who are dealing with this awful, awful reality of our life, that death happens. Please remember to keep it real, whatever that means for you, whether it means resting, whether that means getting Chick-fil-A for lunch because it's a happy food, or whether that means just spending the day on your own, or going to see a movie, whatever that looks like. But please don't be afraid to invite other people into it. Choose to believe people when they say, let me know when you need me, or do you want me to come over, or anything like that. We are not meant to do this life alone, so please reach out to those who have offered. Keep it real. I like you guys, and I'm so glad that you have joined me in this crazy life endeavor of having a YouTube channel. Thanks. Bye-bye.